Hey, welcome back to the Doctorpreneurs podcast. Once again, you're with me, Dr. Lim, and with my co-host, Andrew Mastrin-Donis. If you are listening to us, we are available on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And if you're watching us, we're definitely available on YouTube as well. So do follow us, subscribe to our show, subscribe to our podcast as well, so that you can get more updated content from us as we go along. So Andrew, we have a very special guest with us here tonight. Would you like to introduce her?
Yeah, we really do. We have Eugenia Shevchenko, who I got to meet last summer or last July through the UN Women program. And Pillar participated in this accelerator program focused on women and focused on what we can do with the caregiving community as entrepreneurs. And I think you're also more officially employed by Seedstars. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I'm an employee of Seedstars.
Okay. And if maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about Seedstars for our audience that may not be familiar with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Eugenia. My official position is a platform manager at Seedstars. I also do events. So Seedstars is a Swiss-based company. It was founded in 2013, and our mission is to impact people's lives in emerging markets through technology and entrepreneurship. So the main idea is to organize program of growing for startups and partner with companies as UN Women, as you mentioned, and other banks, corporates, to be able to accelerate or incubate startups. It's one arm of Seedstars. As a second one, we do investments as well. So we are VC fund on the early stage, also emerging markets, and we invest in startups that are 100% technology based and are operating in emerging markets. So yeah, this is in the nutshell.
So it really is mostly focused on emerging markets?
It is fully emerging markets. Yes, we cover 5 regions: Asia, Middle East, Africa, Central Eastern Europe, and Latin America.
And how is in terms of investing, what's sort of the geographic breakdown of where you've invested over the years?
That's a very good question, but we are very global, and we do not have like a focus, let's say. We have investments almost the same amount as in Latin America, almost the same amount in Asia and in Africa. We have less investments in Central Eastern Europe, even though we always say we are open to, but yeah, super global. We have 80 portfolio companies, and all of them based in, starting from Kenya, Philippines, etc. Yeah, we are everywhere.
And I understand you're in Mexico City, is that right?
Yeah, I'm currently in Mexico City. I moved here in September, even though I'm Ukrainian, but yeah, I decided some time ago to live here, and don't know if I'm gonna still be here recently, but yeah, I'm in Mexico.
Well, tell us a little more about your story. Like, how did you end up in Seedstars, and what's your background like? Just in case there are people that are interested to, get in touch with you guys, find out more about what you all do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very global. I don't even sometimes realize that, because I'm Ukrainian that works for a Swiss company and lives in Mexico. So kind of a little bit random. But I graduated from university in Ukraine, 6 years, studying international relations, and in Cyprus, in Republic of Cyprus as well. And since then, I always felt like I want to do something international. So I joined the fund, and it was a Holocaust Memorial Center. Mm-hmm. I worked there for 2 years. We were trying to build the Holocaust Memorial Center in Ukraine. It never happened up until now. Hope the team will still do it one day. But I realized that I really love events and want to do something internationally. And since then, I literally found the Seedstars job in LinkedIn, super like cold calling, let's say. And I was accepted in 2018. Since then, I've been doing a lot of pitching competitions events for 100 people in my region, in Armenia, Ukraine, Russia, etc. So we were moving around. But then I was more as a part of investment team, especially when the COVID started. I decided to okay, I need to change something. So I was leading the team of 5 event managers, and they were traveling the world, but I was kind of a team lead. And in the end, as a part of investment team, I do portfolio company support. and also a growth track. It's a program that we give startups as soon as we invest in. There is a 3-month program for them to boost their growth. So I'm also managing this part. So it's been like a little bit all over the place for these almost 4 years at Seedstars, but it's a great journey.
I actually did a Seedstars event as a startup in Singapore in 2015 with a former company. So
Nice.
there was a young French guy who was running it back then. I forget his name now, but anyway, so I have some experience with Seedstars events, and they're really well organized events. So
Yeah.
I give them a lot of kudos for that. So you're focused now on startups in Latin America now. What's kind of your role in Mexico, or are you working more globally?
Yeah, that's a great question because Mexico is kind of not required by my work. I just decided to live here by myself. I just felt that I really love the climate, I really love the people and the opportunities that Mexico offers. But I can work from any part of the world. So it was just happened to be Mexico because I liked it. But I also, at the same time, I try to go to events here, some like ecosystem events, and talk to investors, knowing startups, meeting with them. But it's not required because I'm like fully global and I'm part of the global investment team. And as I mentioned, I do a portfolio support. And we have 80 companies, all of them all around the world. So I'm just talking to all of them at the same time. It's not
Right.
connected to Latin America.
Well, I lived in Costa Rica for 8 years. So I love that part of the world. I love Mexico. Just a tremendous place. The food is amazing. The people are amazing. The culture is something. So just briefly, what is your sense of the startup scene in Mexico?
I really see the huge growth and kind of the open-mindedness of being an entrepreneur and being a startup here, not only from the Latin Americans and like the Mexicans in this case, but more even like Europeans that want to come and, or Europeans or people from US to come and set up their startup. I have like a lot of friends, startup founders here. Fintech is booming like crazy. We also invested in one company in fintech in Mexico recently, and we always like have an open eyes in Mexico as a priority as the market. And same with Chile, Peru, and Brazil. So yeah, I also talk to some people and they say like what was 4 years ago, it's not the same as it's now. Like we really can see the startups and unicorns even, and VCs that are investing from US and from the region. Startups are growing, and yeah, it gives us a hope.
Is there much support for startups in Mexico from the government and others?
I'm not sure I know like how the government supports, but I know that we do a program with the Mexican government, but it's also more dedicated to developers. So we're doing the program for developers on the growth mindset, etc. But I honestly, I don't know if they do like some startup visas or something like from the government, but yeah, I have no idea on that one.
It's okay. So these startups in Mexico, are the ones you've met targeting the domestic market, or are they also looking at the US and other countries?
So the main mindset here for the entrepreneurs, they always say, okay, we are starting with Mexico, but we always know that if we're in Mexico, we're in the whole Latin America. So the first step is also always locally. Or again, startups in Peru think absolutely the same. And then they start expansion in other countries. And maybe in the future is going to be US, but the main goal is the Latin America first.
Well, I would imagine having a common language, 90% throughout Latin America helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why if you're in Mexico, you're in Latin America.
The startup scene in as you described kind of also reminds me of the Malaysian startup scene as well. I think there are many startups in Malaysia and tech startups and fintech startups as well. A lot of blockchain startups here that are booming. And the climate and the food here is fantastic as well, right, Andrew? So perhaps, sometime in the future, Malaysia could be one of the destinations to visit. I did hear you mentioning about investing in companies in Philippines. Are you guys big on this whole Southeast Asia investment scene as well?
We are big in Asia as a whole. We have like investments in Thailand and in Singapore, but like we don't have like a specific country, let's say, that we're strong in investment. We have like, one stop, let's say, investments, but we always try to get a research of the market and see like from the sourcing perspective and see if we want to invest. Kind of, let's say, we're open to invest more in Asia. And this is what I've seen, like in the team, we also discussed like, okay, let's look at Vietnam because we don't have any. Let's look in Taiwan. We don't have any investment there. So yeah, we have investments and we are looking for having more.
So when you make these investments, would you say the investments focus on specific areas of tech?
Not really, because we always say that we're sector agnostic. We do not invest in some kind of like gambling or something. So we are sector agnostic, but at the same time, we do have like pillars and they are fully aligned with the SDGs of UN. So the point is that we would invest like mostly in health tech, ed tech, logistics, education, as I mentioned. So kind of the spheres that impact people's lives.
Out of curiosity, you mentioned UN a few times, and I know Seedstars is kind of doing something with the UN as well. How is that relationship like, and what are the kind of projects that you guys are doing together with the UN, and what would be some of the priorities like when working with the UN?
In terms of relationship and how we collaborate together, so normally we just apply for any like open call that UN has for accelerating startups. Let's say how it happened with the care industry startups in Asia Pacific. So we applied to be let's say a team to execute the project that they had in mind. But at the same time, it's not just like we they hand over it to us, but they actually worked with us. So the collaboration was like such a high level. So we were having weekly calls with the UN Women team and kind of discussing everything. And so in terms of collaboration, it's tight, but it was only by project. So it's not like we are like forever working together or something. So we finished the accelerator and we'll wait maybe for the next opportunity to work together.
Yeah, when I was involved in the UN Women program, I actually felt that there was a lot of cooperation and collaboration between Seedstars and UN. In fact, I sometimes couldn't tell who was who. So I think that was really good.
Yeah,
Nice.
and actually, I think we've benefited a lot as a growing company from this event that this project that you organize as well. Mainly getting us connected to our previous podcast guest, which is Mr. Philip Burr from Germany, also running something similar. I think we've benefited a lot and we've learned a lot as well. So if you are a startup out there, do pay attention, to all these events. It could be really beneficial learning experiences as well, right, Andrew?
Yeah, and since we're involved in the aged care caregiving industry and we participated in the program, how would you describe, sort of looking back a few months, how the program went and how you think the company's fared and all of that?
You mean how they progressed with the accelerator that we did?
Yeah, progressed, or how you felt about the overall outcome of the program.
Yeah, so the program was 4 months almost, and we can definitely see the progress, but it's not like the same progress for each company, because we literally had like companies in different stages. Some of them were already growth stage and quite familiar, let's say, even with VC, and some do not. They didn't know nothing about like venture capital, or they even were considering to have technology as their base of the business. So there were like different approaches that we made when we were conducting this program. So I think everyone made a progress, this 100%, but also like talking about the goals that every startup had. So for example, I'm really happy to hear that it helped you with the networking and you found a great mentor, Philippe, and everything like worked in this regard. Like some companies, they managed by being on a, let's say, kind of promoted or in the articles or in the media of their country, they got a contract from the government. So this was kind of also indirect support of us for them to receive the government contract. And in the end, I think it was a successful program. We gave like 2 grants to the companies, like small grants, but at least like to test some growth methodology that they have in mind. So overall, it was a great program. I think everyone, at least in some kind of sort, benefited from it.
Right. So looking back a little bit, do you think that in the future you should look at sort of the stages the companies are in and make sure they're more aligned, or is that not really an issue? Like we're a growing company and have a little more experience with investors. Some had no experience or some had no technology, or did it work just fine as it was?
That's a great point, because I think we need to be looking closely to the stages of companies. It was not that harmful, as I would say, if the companies are in the different stage, because always a company that already grew, already have some knowledge, they can share it with those who don't know. But it's better, I think, to find or source the companies for the program as aligned as possible on their stage.
Right. So was that program modeled after other Seed Stars accelerator programs, or was it different?
Um, it 100% we had a knowledge already, because we conducted like a lot of acceleration programs, even like in different parts of the world, in Central Asia and in Asia before, but it was built from scratch. Like the whole design of the program was in collaboration with UN Women as well, and it was even more, I would say, it was iterated during the program, because we were seeing like, okay, we want to introduce this gender equity part, but how are we going to position it? And then it turned to be gender equity track. So it's kind of was all the time modified, because it's a pilot project. It was a pilot project. It was the first time we collaborated. So again, we worked together and it was built from zero.
Right. More broadly on accelerators, it seemed to me like 5, 6, 7 years ago, there were just maybe a handful of accelerators. And now there are dozens or maybe even hundreds around the world. I sort of feel like some accelerators, I hate to say this, but they feel like they're almost some kind of money-making venture. They're more of a business these days and not really an accelerator program like Seed Stars. Do you see that or feel that or seen that out there in the marketplace?
To be honest, as a Seedstars employee and like working in the sector, I haven't seen it as a just like generating revenue machine. I
Okay.
did not, just because I work in fields and I do everything, like we organize startups, we organize webinars, we do communication, and I feel like we actually impact, and that's what I mentioned. We actually have see the progress in startups, but yeah, I cannot say that I felt it somehow.
Yeah. I get that with Seed Stars. I think for me is I get a lot of emails from accelerators and they feel more like a business pitch than they do an accelerator. I guess it's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, might be. It's a different perspective. I can feel you and see what you mean. Like if you're a founder and you're bombarded like with a ton of accelerators, might be. Yeah, in the market, when it concerns money, they can find like all the time different models how to make money. So maybe in some cases, yes, but I haven't seen it from this perspective.
Right. So if you're a founder or have a startup and you're thinking about joining an accelerator, what are some of the things as a founder you should be looking for in a good accelerator program?
I think you should not look for a good accelerator program. I think you need to assess what this accelerator is strong at and if you are aligned with this strength. So if, like we always say that we are very strong in growth, and if you really need growth, we will give you methodology, tools, you will be doing experiments, we will put you a growth mentor. So again, we don't do acceleration program on growth, but we always can build one if we kind of align with a partner. So the point is that if the company sees that this particular accelerator, and I will be talking again about YC, for example, Y Combinator, they are very strong on fundraising and network. If this is what you need now, you should apply to YC. If you need growth, let's say, look at Seedstars and also network of Seedstars that offers, and etc. But if you, or again, any other knowledge, it can be more focused on like people operations, talent hiring, or something like to see this is number one, to see what this accelerator is strong at. And number two, I think you can always check who already went through this accelerator, and like literally just reach out and ask companies or portfolio companies of those accelerators and see if it actually helped them and what's their opinion. And the founders will be always honest about their opinions.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think people don't realize that there are actually different types of accelerators with different types of goals. You mentioned growth, networking, fundraising. Are there any others we're missing?
I would say these three are main ones. Yeah, network, fundraising, and growth, or like, yeah, growth, it's sales, revenues, etc. So yeah, I would say the three. I don't know if someone is specific in like people, operations, and hiring would be great. Actually, maybe someone will get it as a business idea, because even now I see, talking to the portfolio companies, like the main problem is hiring and finding good talents for a startup.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe there's going to be a next accelerator focus.
You mentioned just now that there is some hesitation in adoption of technology among startups during your experience with the accelerator programs. Is it specific to the care or health tech, healthcare or care industry, or do you see it like having different industries having a similar issue as well? And what are some of the strategies that Seedstars has implemented to encourage founders to kind of like go into, or at least take a look at the tech approach to see if there are any breakthroughs available there?
Mm-hmm. So I don't see they were hesitating. Sometimes when you're running a business, let's say it's care industry, and I saw it in logistics as well, sometimes you very focused in the industry, you're working in fields, and you don't even like know that something can be automated, something can be like working better with the help of technology. So their point was not like to prove them that you need to introduce technology, but just show how it can be managed faster, better, easier with the help of a simple tool that technology offers. So, and this probably was more to, yeah, again, to show them how to. And like, we don't have like a specific strategy of introducing technologies into the startups, but we always look at the parts of like optimization and automation. If someone, or like, let's say promotion as well, like in the marketing part, if someone is still going like, I don't know, door-to-door marketing, or someone is using spreadsheet only for collecting their, I don't know, customers, etc. So we always try to open the minds and try to see, okay, how we can do it with the help of, I don't know, simple landing page or etc. So this can kind of small steps. It's not, when we say like introduce technology, we always think, oh my God, it's like something so difficult, like this nano technologies, like I'm actually running a simple business. No, we mean it's a small steps, like you can introduce one tool, and it can change your entire life and save you like tons of time to do something.
Right. Looking back at the UN Women program that we participated in the care industry, what was your sense of the technology that might most benefit the care industry? Did you get a sense of that, having gone through the program with us?
It's a good question and quite tricky. I'm trying to think.
I'm not trying to be tricky.
No, I know. I was trying to see like the most, like, let's say models, and what people were using was like just the platforms for marketplaces, like to hire caregivers, or to help elderly or children, etc., like with the help of websites, like how to book, and some people started to do an app even. So probably the basics of what like care center needs. It's something easy for the needs. For example, if you need to hire a caregiver, like it needs to be like very good designed process on how to. And this is probably was the pattern that everyone had. It's not like in this sector technology, like we were not looking into like machines that, I don't know, that help in there, but it was more on how to connect, let's say, caregiver with the with a family, or with a person who is looking for caregiver, etc. So yeah, this was probably the companies.
I can actually point out an actual example that how Seedstars, your program, has helped us during this accelerator. Actually, by connecting with Philip from Malta in Germany, he actually pointed out that we could use a simple CRM tool such as HubSpot to make our whole operations process a little bit more efficient, because before this we were a smaller team, and we could do everything over Google Sheet and over WhatsApp. But as we grow now, we have a team of I think more than 10 people. It's kind of harder to get everyone on the same page to communicate. But by Philip just pointing out a very simple example of using HubSpot as the tool, the CRM tool, it has really made our lives much easier. We are able to kind of keep track of all our cases. We are able to get all our reports and kind of get everybody on the same page. I think this is part of the technology that through y'all have introduced to us and has greatly benefited us as a startup during the accelerator. Yeah,
and it's also fairly cost effective for us to use HubSpot. It wasn't a difficult cost decision to implement it. So it's a pretty good start for us, I think.
And just on a side note, just to mention this, Seedstars also offer up different kind of offers to startups that have gone through programs with them. And there's also a collaboration in HubSpot, I believe. And because HubSpot did give us some, I think, quite significant discounts just because we are Seedstars graduate. So I think this is also another point to kind of point out to potential participants in the future.
Yeah, I wanted to mention it. We have quite a lot of like discounts from partners, and HubSpot is one of them as well. We have like Hotjar and other companies that offered discounts or 1 month free or any kind of value they can do for the startups. Yeah, thank you for using it. That's great.
Yeah, that was really great.
Right. Well, so I think it's been pretty eye-opening, all these accelerator programs. And I think in Malaysia, we are starting to see more and more accelerator programs approaching startups here as well. But I think there's still definitely a gap to kind of create awareness among startups founders here in Malaysia. And I really appreciate what Seedstars is doing and also giving us the opportunity to be part of this. And also you coming up and sharing with us on this show so that we can share with more startup founders and also get them engaged with your kind of services or events that you provide as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you mentioned just one point, and it came to my mind that founders need to be actually open to accelerators and not to think about, oh my God, it's another accelerator or someone wants to, I don't know, just attach me and do something with me. No, you for local startups, as I know myself, like in Ukraine startups or in other Malaysia as well, and in Latin America, when they join the accelerator is just such a good connection to the entire world, most likely. Again, depends on accelerator, but most likely you gain the context with startups that you are working with or the mentors again or any other. So for me, probably the accelerator is a network, first of all. Okay, it can be a base of the program on growth or how to fundraise, but the main point is that you meet people who are as powerful as you are, and you can do great connections. You can, in the end, you can even expand your business to other countries just because you are at the same program with this particular startup who in the future helped you to expand to its own country. So I think this would be the main point to join accelerators from my end.
Yeah, and actually I've been talking to a woman who was in the program who's in Indonesia and has a caregiving company. You may remember her. And
Susan Neo from Love Care.
Yeah. And we've been thinking about Indonesia with our technology that we're rolling out and all of that. So we have a good contact there. We have somebody in Thailand we're talking to. So that's all been very helpful as we expand our business. But also in talking with Philip in Germany, I would send him an email and say, we're thinking of trying this, native advertising program software company. Have you tried it? What was your, success in Germany using it? Would you use Outbrain or some other company? And he would give us feedback on his experience. And that was really, really helpful.
So what are some of the events that you're working on that's coming up next? Maybe you can share with us a little, especially if it's in the Southeast Asia region.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm more in the part of investment team right now, and probably worth mentioning that our website, seedstars.com, we have a part of Seedstars International, and I'm going to share the link with you so you can see. We always accept applications of startups on investment. You can always submit your pitch and we will consider for investment, but for more like a second part of the 2022. But again, it's not like we early stage, but we still have a criteria. So the startup needs to be growth stage and have already product market fit and to be able to invest in growth. So this is kind of, and again, emerging markets. This is the main criteria. Programs wise, I know that currently we just finished an SDG challenge that we conducted with Financial Times. So we're really looking forward to a new edition. And again, as soon as the new information is live, I will share with the Asian community.
Great. So when you mentioned being able to apply for investment in Seedstars, are you able to tell us sort of kind of what the dollar value minimum and maximum you sort of look at?
You mean in terms of the revenue that they're generating?
No, in terms of how much you would typically invest, sort of
Oh.
minimum or maximum.
Absolutely. So we invest $50,000, which we do cash, and then we do a fee for the program. So cash is normally around 30K, and then 20K we take for the growth track that I am conducting in a 3-month program to boost the growth. But it's let's say standard formula, but it always like negotiable, and we always kind of see case by case how to deal with that. And we also offer follow-on investments, and follow-on is typically up to 500K. But again, it's everything like case by case, and
Sure.
yeah, this is how it works.
Will you be able to link these startups to bigger VCs for bigger quantum investments as well?
That's the main point. Yes. As I mentioned, I do like portfolio company support. As soon as we invest, we already review with them their fundraising strategy. We review all the materials, decks, cap tables, like so they get ready. Then we build together an investors list. So we all see like what exact investors we want to target. And yeah, as a fourth step, we help introducing investors, or if they want someone to get introduced to. So we also help like maybe push or something. So this is another part, but we do it as well, of course.
The other day I got an email from a man who was running sort of an online database of investors and wanted me to pay money to join his program, to be able to access his database and talk to investors and all of that. Have you seen those kind of online programs, and what do you think of them?
Yeah, I've seen actually a lot of databases like that. And I also was approached many times by companies that want to offer us to kind of embed their database. So we also promote it to startups. It can be even like with discounts or kind of for free, not necessarily to pay. But the point here that I saw, and I never agreed to use it just because the database sometimes are not updated or not relevant, because we tested it with a couple of startups and there were like NGOs or like contacts that are exactly not relevant for startups who are raising the round. So I think in this case, if startup is getting approached and like even considering to use it, I don't say it's bad. You can use it. Maybe you will definitely find the contact there, but just make sure that the database is really relevant and updated. Like ask the company, okay, do you have investors, and how many investors like in Asia or like US, the one that you are targeting, how many do they have? And maybe even run the test before paying or like using this source. Like ask, okay, can you give me like 5 investors just to see like how your database looks like?
Yeah, I looked into this one software company that had a database and it looked interesting, but 2 things I noticed. It looked a little complicated, and I feel like in investing, you lose the personal touch when trying to raise money. Maybe you get to that stage for these software programs or databases, I don't know, but it sort of turned me off a little bit. I felt like reaching out to investors, having in-person meetings, getting to know them, doing all of that seems to make more sense, at least for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And this is what I mentioned, like the relevance of investors. So you don't want to get a database and send like the same email to 100 of contacts. No, you really need to tap into database and to see if this investor suits your values and your
Right.
like goals, etc. So if it does, then yeah, you do a personalized email, you do a call, etc., and you kind of get to know each other. And this is what we learn at Seedstars as well, or like teach and learn as well. teach to startups that you are going to be working with person. You're going to be minimum sending the monthly updates to this person, and the person going to be checking on you, and like you're going to be a collaboration. So if you just randomly onboarded an investor, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right.
How do you see like the trend of cross-country investing? Because like there's always this fear among as a Malaysian entrepreneur, right? There's always this fear from me of approaching investors from another country, another culture, another a whole new different background. Do you see a lot of success in cross-country international kind of investing? And how would you tell me to, if you think that is a good idea, how would you encourage me to go for it and not be so fearful about taking money from foreign investors?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good idea always to look further and like, yeah, work with international investors. But there are some like main points to look at. I would say the first one is to make sure that the fund that you are reaching out to actually invests in your country. And this is sometimes like a miscommunication, misconception. Like, okay, if you're from Asia and you want to reach out to a fund in Africa, just make sure that among the countries that invest in, they have Asia or something like so, Asian country. So because this is sometimes looks weird. And the second point, I think also the tricky part is the legal part, but now as I see, it can be solved, like especially when European funds are investing in Asia or in Central Eastern Europe, they already know like how to deal with the legal part of onboarding the startups. So but just to make sure everything works properly. And I would always encourage to look further and see for look at the international investors.
Do you see a lot of success though, like a lot of success of cross country or international investments?
Yes, it also depends like from which countries are talking about. Like a lot of European, US funds are investing in emerging markets, and this is great. I don't know if I have an example of like, let's say, Latin America country investing into Asia. Like I don't know any example, but I for sure know that if it happens, it should be a success.
Right. I think European VCs have a longer history of investing in Asia, and many of them also have offices, say, in Singapore.
Yes, that's true. And we have even in our network in Switzerland, we have founders that, for example, specifically invest only in Central Asia, for example, or specifically investing in Russian-speaking founders, or specifically again investing in Singapore, like and Asia Pacific countries. So they exist, and that's again coming back to my point in finding the relevant investor and doing the basic research on who you want to work with.
That's been great. That's been really insightful. I also noticed that you mentioned a few times that you are from Ukraine, and I kind of like to segue a little bit and sidetrack a little bit to talk about the situation in Ukraine. We are not any news outlet or any propaganda, so whatever we say here, there's no agenda, there's no purpose. It's just kind of like want to find out more about like how what's going on there, and do you have family there, and how are they coping? How's the whole situation? Like, if you don't mind sharing with us.
Yeah, I can share. I thank you for like saying it's not propaganda, and I also want to take out my like hat of being platform manager at Seedstars, and I want to just maybe talk for the few couple of minutes as the like Eugenia from Odessa originally, and I lived my whole life in Kyiv before I decided to move and live in Mexico. So as a Ukrainian, I cannot find the words what's happening, because it's hard, it's insane, it's unprecedented, and it's a real war that one country is doing against another country. And now it's Russia invaded Ukraine. This is, again, as my opinion, is we have two wars. One is Russia killing Ukrainians right now as we speak. And another one is an informatic war that my even friends in Russia that left, a couple of them, they cannot see the news. They cannot see any information rather than their national TV. And this is like impossible to believe in 2022, but this is what's happening. This is kind of part of, as I see it. And Another part is my family that is in Kiev. My father and my two brothers and my father's wife are in Kiev. My mom is in Odessa. And yeah, it's been 6 days and they're going into the shelters as soon as alarm goes, and alarm goes like every 2 hours. Yeah, it's yeah, our president, as I say again, I'm not like, I can't say I'm very patriotic, but as you see, I live in Mexico. I was not like very, very Ukrainian, but now I really feel like I want to go back. I want to do something in my country. It like shifts your mindset so much that being here, I cannot help with real stuff. It's okay, I can help. I try to promote maybe among my friends and social media, trying to speak here, just like what's happening, and the people are dying, but they're literally like dying people. Again, I say I never use any like propaganda comments or like weird articles or like sharing politics as people it called. No, people are dying in Ukraine and children being bombed. And this is unbelievable what's happening. And every day my routine is to wake up and kind of my parents are still alive, I hope so. So kind of because yeah, you cannot live, because everything is happening. Like the first bomb, it was in front of my house in Kiev. I live on the 19th floor in the skyscraper in Kiev, and the first bomb was like right in front. Had a person who was renting my flat there, he left to the village with his parents as well. So I prayed on my flat stay. So, but again, I don't care about flat at all. I really pray for my parents, like have food and water and stay in life. And they told me like, we're so happy that you're in Mexico. At least you're gonna stay alive. And I cannot even hear that. Like I couldn't stop crying for 5 days. And this is a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's whatever the reasons they have to start wars. Whenever we hear things like this, I think it really breaks our heart. Me and Andrew being in the care industry, we are really people that have empathy, and we care for people as well. So hearing all this really is really tough and really challenging. Bringing back to the point you were saying that there's also an information war going on. Are you saying that people in Russia cannot access the internet right now, even through VPNs and whatnot?
I think they can access internet. Some people just do not search or don't look. They just watch TV and kind of everything is good. But I know that like personally, a couple of my friends, they try to do VPN, but they cannot access the videos on Instagram, for example, on social media, like that considered as propaganda from our side. So they cannot see like Facebook, Instagram, some pages and videos. Yeah.
I've been on Twitter a lot, following very closely these last 6 days. I mean, I haven't been sleeping even. I'm just so upset about this. And you see these horrific videos going on in Odessa and Kyiv and other cities that Ukrainians are posting. And I sense that Russians aren't seeing those terrible videos.
That's what's happening. I don't know, maybe yeah, they are not seeing, like first of all on their TV is not shown. With like I know that even other like European countries and Ukraine trying to do kind of a not cyber attacks, but trying to kind of push notifications from their apps. And I know one Ukrainian app is doing it. Oh my god, it's such a blessing that they like there are, I don't know how many, but tons of Russian users of this app, so they push notification on what's happening. So at least like rising awareness like that. But yeah, as you say, we do pause, but again, I also maybe have only my opinion and like in my surroundings, but they do not see like in different parts of Russia, they do not see what's happening.
Yeah. And on the other hand, too, I mean, I have to say, I feel bad for the average Russian as well. For example, I have a friend that runs a YouTube channel out of St. Petersburg, and his focus is English speaking, what it's like to live in Russia, and he travels around the country. And he posted a video a couple of days ago. He's scared to death that he's not going to have a YouTube channel where he gets the majority of his income right now, that's going to get cut off very soon. So I feel bad for the average Russian who's relied on international technology and YouTube as content creators that are also going to be harmed by what's going on.
I know. I know this. I know everyone is scared. Some people are, yeah, don't want to even speak up. Like I know the artists or singers or anyone,
Right.
they just being silent because they're afraid, and I understand everything. But at the same time, I just want to show the example of 2014 in Ukraine, when we were standing and all of us went on the streets, and we managed to be like what we wanted to be, and the president that we wanted to have, and not the one that were put there. So I still believe in the power of people, and that one day everyone will get out of their houses. I'm so sorry it haven't happened now, but again, this is like what people, how people act and what they see. I cannot make them go. I cannot like be propagandist or whatever. I like, in my opinion, just wait until everyone has the common sense. I know the common sense is not common, but I really hope that it's going to happen one day. That, like, again, for the truth, my my grandfather was sitting in the prison 17 years because he said the truth, and my family urged me to speak up about it, but I'm like, I just speak about suffer of people. I speak about like how my family is hurt. They are hurt. My brother, who's 8 years old, I talked to him like, how are you? He's like, we're surviving here. We are surviving here. The person of 8 years old is telling me. So it's, and if someone says like, oh my God, just like also be like calm, and I cannot be calm, because if it's personal, it is personal. And yeah, let's hope for the best. And yeah.
I should mention, you mentioned 2014, when Ukrainians effectively threw out I don't know how you want to call it, a corrupt president who wanted to side with Russia and not the West. There's a great Netflix movie called Winter on Fire, and about that 2014. And I would highly recommend that everybody see Winter on Fire, about the Ukrainians and what they did in 2014.
Yeah, and really, I really can't imagine. I can't even imagine what they are going through right now. I mean, I've been educated in Russia. I've been in Moscow for 6 years, and I know the average person on the street, the people there, they are not evil people for sure. I think this is just a issue with the leadership of the countries, and unfortunately, many innocent lives are affected as a result. And you saying that, I mean, bombs going off in front of your house and everything else. At what point at what point would your family decide to kind of leave the city, and when it becomes too dangerous, and what's going to happen if it comes to that point?
So we are not leaving the city. We are staying in Ukraine. My father stays with his family in Kyiv. My mom stays with her family in Odessa. We missed the time to leave. It was late to leave. I was also asked by my friend, like, what was the decision to stay? It happened at 4 a.m. on the morning. The bomb started to go into different cities in Ukraine at the same time. And before, and even my family was saying that it was educational studies, and the form of tanks and everything like that, the military was kind of getting ready. They were saying that it's just like as a part of education for militaries, etc. So it was unexpected, I would say. So we were not, and when it went to the point that the bomb started going on in the cities, we wanted to leave, but it was very dangerous. So if you're in Kyiv, geographically, it's far away to go to Moldovan or Romanian border, because tanks started to go from Crimea, from down there, and from Belarus as well. So from these two parts, so you cannot. It was dangerous to move in the country. For Odessa as well. And the second point is that in maybe 1 day or 2 days, the whole exit of the man from 16 to 60 years old is prohibited. You cannot leave the country. Because even my very good friend in Ukraine, in Odessa, she has 2 children, and she went to Moldovan border with her family, and her husband was not able to cross the border, and he went back to Odessa, and the family went to Moldova. Only she with 2 babies by car driving somewhere, and the guy left in Odessa. And yeah, a lot of people tried and trying right now, but yeah, men are not allowed to leave the country.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm feeling like crying on a podcast. We have done a dozen episodes, but this is really heartbreaking, and I really I'm praying for all of you. We don't know what else we can do here, but I know for a fact that we are one people, whatever race or background or country we are all human beings, and when all these are happening, we are actually very distressed as well. We might not be able to understand, but we feel the pain, and we're definitely praying with you all, and we hope that your family in Ukraine is going to be safe, and this thing is going to blow over as soon as possible. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have two quotes all the time in my mouth that calm me down. First of all, I know that what we are fighting for, and they do not know. Some people are just sent there and they don't know what they're doing. And we know what we are fighting for. So it's easier to fight on our territory. So we're going to win. And the second, I always think that the good always wins bad because they came to our land. We do not ask. We do not pray for them to come. We do not need any Russian, any other nationality to enter our homes and do the terrorist attacks in our homes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're coming up to the top of the hour. I think that's a great point to end the conversation. Again, we are praying with you. We really pray that this thing's going to turn out well, and it's going to blow over as soon as possible. And I really thank you. Appreciate the time that you spent for us. I know it's really early now in Mexico, and thank you for getting up early and also joining us and sharing us all these insights about accelerators, about investments, and definitely very eye-opening. And also thank you for sharing your side of the story of what's going on in your home country. And I think this is going to be eye-opening for some Malaysians as well as they listen to this podcast. Yeah, Andrew, do you have anything else to add?
I would offer help, but I feel sort of like I don't know what I can do except to promote Ukraine, to ask people to help, to tell the stories, donate some money. I mean, I think those are the things that I can do as an American, I guess. I wish I could do a lot more.
Yeah, but these are the right steps. Yeah, thank you for that.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you once again. All the links that Eugenia mentioned just now will be in our description section. So you can go there, visit Seedstar website, see whether it's suitable for you. If you want to find out more about their work, it's definitely going to be on the website as well. And so if you are have any questions, have any inquiries, please do contact them directly. I'm sure you're going to be able to benefit from some of their programs, like how we benefited from the programs, the accelerators as well. And on that note, thank you very much once again, Eugenia. We're going to end the conversation. All the best. Take care. Stay safe. And see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we'll stay in touch. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.